Tonight, you do not have to be strong. Not the kind of strength you learned out of necessity. Not the strength that keeps you functioning when everything inside feels fragile. Not the strength that smiles, endures, explains, or carries others while quietly neglecting yourself. Tonight, you are allowed to lay down the armor you have been wearing for so long that you may not even remember when you first put it on. God speaks to you gently here, not with command or expectation, but with permission. You don't have to be strong tonight. You have already done enough. Strength may have kept you going through many seasons, but it was never meant to be worn without rest. There is a difference between strength that protects and strength that exhausts, and God sees how thin that line has become for you. You may have learned to be strong because weakness did not feel safe, because there was no one else to hold things together, because showing vulnerability once cost you more than you could afford. God does not judge the way you learn to survive. Love understands how strength became your shelter, how it became the way you stayed upright when collapsing was not an option. Still, shelter is not meant to be permanent armor. Tonight, you are invited to loosen it, even just a little, without fear of consequence. You may feel uneasy hearing that you do not have to be strong tonight. Your body may resist this idea, your mind may question it, wondering what will happen if you stop holding yourself together. God meets that resistance with patience. Love does not force you into rest or vulnerability. It simply sits with you and says, you are safe enough to pause here. You are not being tested. You are not being asked to prove trust. You are not being measured by how well you let go. You are simply being offered a place where effort is not required. You have spent so much time being the one who holds, the one who stays composed, the one who keeps going, even when you felt empty or overwhelmed. God sees how heavy that has been. Strength carried you through, but tonight, strength can rest too. There may be a part of you that believes if you stop being strong, everything will fall apart. This belief did not come from nowhere. It was shaped by experience, by moments when things depended on you, by times when letting your guard down led to disappointment or harm. God does not dismiss these memories. Love understands why your body stays alert, why your heart stays guarded. But tonight, nothing is asking you to carry everything. Nothing is asking you to decide, to fix, to endure. You are allowed to be here without performing strength. You are allowed to feel tired without immediately correcting it. God does not need you to stay upright to stay near. You can sit down. You can lie down. You can soften. Nothing essential will be lost. You may not know what it feels like to exist without strength as your default posture. Without it, you might feel exposed, unsure, undefined. God meets you there too. You do not need to replace strength with clarity, courage, or confidence tonight. You do not need to know who you are without armor. You can simply be. Being without strength does not mean being weak. It means being honest about your limits. And honesty is not something you have to earn. God does not withdraw care when you admit you are tired. Love moves closer. You may notice emotions rising as you allow the idea of not being strong tonight. Sadness you postponed. Weariness you minimized. Anger you swallowed. Even numbness that protected you when feeling too much was not an option. None of these are wrong. None of these disqualify you from rest. God does not require emotional neatness. You do not need to understand or resolve what comes up. You are not being asked to process everything tonight. You are simply being allowed to stop suppressing it for a moment. Strength often means holding emotions at bay so life can continue. Tonight, life will continue even if you let yourself feel less controlled. God is with you in whatever surfaces. There is a tenderness in realizing how long you have been strong without relief. You may grieve the years you felt you had no choice, the times you wished someone else would notice, the moments you needed rest but kept going anyway. God does not rush you past this grief. You are allowed to acknowledge the cost of your strength. It does not make you ungrateful or dramatic. It makes you human. Love does not demand resilience at the expense of your well-being. You were never meant to carry endlessly without support. Tonight, you are not being asked to carry at all. Not being strong tonight does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you abandon what matters to you. It means you stop forcing yourself to endure without relief. Care does not disappear when strength rests. In fact, care often becomes gentler, more sustainable, more honest. God does not need you to suffer to prove devotion. Love does not demand exhaustion as evidence of faith. You do not have to be strong to be held. You do not have to be composed to be worthy of care. You may still feel moments of tension as you try to rest from strength. Your body may instinctively tighten again. Your thoughts may return to vigilance. This does not mean you are failing. It means your system has been trained to survive. God does not scold this response. Love stays with you through it. You can allow strength to loosen and tighten again without judgment. Rest is not all or nothing. Even brief moments of softness matter. Even a single breath taken without bracing is enough for tonight. As you let yourself sit with this permission, you may notice how quiet it becomes when you are no longer trying to hold everything together. Quiet can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. God meets you there too. Quiet is not emptiness. It is space. Space where you are not required to perform. Space where nothing needs to be decided. Space where you are allowed to exist without effort. You do not need to fill this space. You do not need to make use of it. You can let it be. Tonight, you do not have to anticipate tomorrow. You do not have to prepare for what comes next. You do not have to rehearse conversations, solve problems, or plan how you will be strong again. Strength will be available when you need it. It does not disappear because you rest. God is not asking you to give up strength forever, only to stop carrying it for a while. You can trust that you will be able to rise again when the time comes. For now, you are allowed to sink into rest. God stays with you as you lay the armor down, not watching to see if you pick it back up too soon. Not measuring how completely you let go, simply staying. You are not alone in this softness. You are not unsupported in this pause. You are not irresponsible for resting. You are not weak for needing it. Tonight, you do not have to be strong. You are allowed to be held instead. There was a time when strength was not a choice but a necessity, when being strong was the only way you knew how to stay standing in the middle of what life placed on you. Strength did not begin as a virtue or a goal. It began as survival. It began in moments when you realized that softness was not safe, that hesitation carried consequences, that waiting for help meant waiting too long. God sees that beginning clearly. Love remembers the context in which your strength was formed. You were not chasing resilience for admiration. You were responding to circumstances that demanded more than you should have had to give. When strength became survival, it shaped the way you learned to move through the world, alert, prepared, braced for what might come next. You may remember moments when there was no one else to lean on, when answers were not coming, when stability felt uncertain or fragile. In those moments, strength stepped in as protection. It helped you make decisions under pressure. It helped you stay functional when emotions threatened to overwhelm you. It helped you keep going when stopping felt dangerous. God does not look back on those moments with criticism. Love recognizes that strength saved you. It carried you through seasons that could have broken you otherwise. Survival strength is not shallow or false. It is intelligent. It adapts. It responds. It does what is needed to keep you alive and moving forward. Over time, though, survival strength can become so familiar that it no longer feels like a response. It begins to feel like identity. You may have stopped asking whether you needed to be strong and started assuming that this was simply who you are. God sees how this transition happened gradually, without announcement. No one told you now you must always be strong. You learned it through repetition, through necessity, through the quiet lesson that things seemed to work better when you did not show how hard it was. Strength became the way you earned stability, the way you protected yourself from disappointment, the way you avoided becoming a burden. These beliefs did not form because you were proud. They formed because you were attentive to what your environment required. When strength became survival, vulnerability often felt like risk. You may have learned that sharing your fear led to dismissal, that asking for help led to complications, that resting too openly led to being misunderstood. God understands how these experiences trained your nervous system to stay guarded. Love does not minimize the wisdom in your caution. Survival strength is not stubbornness. It is memory. It remembers what happened before and tries to prevent it from happening again. God sees the logic in this. There is no shame in it. You may have become skilled at functioning even when you felt overwhelmed inside. You learned how to compartmentalize pain, how to delay feeling until later, how to stay composed while carrying weight that others never saw. People may have come to rely on you, to admire your steadiness, to assume you were fine. This external validation can reinforce survival strength, making it feel necessary and even rewarded. God sees how this dynamic can trap you, how being the strong one can make it harder to step out of that role without feeling like you are letting someone down. Love does not demand that you suddenly abandon this identity. God simply recognizes the cost of maintaining it without rest. When strength is survival, rest can feel threatening. Letting your guard down can trigger anxiety rather than relief. Your body may associate relaxation with vulnerability, with being unprepared. God understands this response deeply. Love does not expect you to flip a switch and suddenly feel safe resting. Safety is learned slowly, through repeated experiences where letting go does not lead to harm. God does not rush this learning. Each time you soften, even briefly, without consequence, your system gathers new information. Strength does not have to disappear for this learning to happen. It can stand down temporarily, knowing it will be available if needed. You may carry a quiet fear that without strength, you will fall apart. This fear is not irrational. It comes from years of holding things together under pressure. God does not counter this fear with slogans or demands for faith. Love responds with presence. You are not being asked to dismantle your strength all at once. You are being invited to notice that you are no longer in the same moments that required constant survival. Some of the danger has passed, even if your body has not fully caught up yet. God stays with you as your system learns the difference between then and now. When strength became survival, it likely shaped your inner dialogue. You may speak to yourself in firm, demanding tones, pushing yourself to keep going, minimizing your own needs. God hears this inner voice and understands where it came from. Love does not shame you for being hard on yourself. It knows that voice once helped you endure. But tonight, that voice does not have to lead. God offers a gentler tone, one that does not undermine your resilience but allows it to rest. Strength does not need to disappear for gentleness to be present. They can coexist. You may also notice grief arising as you reflect on how long you have been surviving. Grief for the ease you did not have, for the support that was absent, for the version of yourself that had to grow up or toughen up too soon. God welcomes this grief. Love does not rush you past it or reframe it as necessary hardship. You are allowed to acknowledge that survival cost you something. Strength does not erase loss. Naming that loss is not weakness. It is honesty. God sees that survival strength was never meant to be your permanent state. It was a bridge, not a destination. Carried you across difficult terrain, but it does not have to define the rest of your journey. Letting this truth settle does not require you to abandon who you are. It allows you to become more fully yourself. You are more than the sum of what you endured. Strength helped you live, but it is not the only way you are supported now. Tonight, recognizing when strength became survival is not about regret. It is about understanding. Understanding softens self-judgment. Understanding creates space for compassion toward yourself. God does not ask you to undo the past or wish it away. Love invites you to see it clearly, without blame, without pressure. You did what you needed to do. You adapted wisely. And now you are allowed to rest from survival mode, even if only a little. You may still need strength tomorrow. Life does not suddenly become effortless. But tonight, survival is not required. The dangers are not immediate. The urgency can ease. God holds you in this pause, reminding you that strength is no longer the only thing keeping you safe. You are supported by presence, by care, by a love that does not depend on how well you endure. Strength can rest because you are not alone anymore. There is a quiet fear that lives beneath your strength. A fear that does not always have words but makes itself known through tension, vigilance, and the constant sense that you must stay engaged or something will go wrong. This is the fear of what happens if you stop holding. God sees this fear clearly, not as a flaw in you, but as a natural response shaped by experience. When you have been the one who kept things together for a long time, the idea of loosening your grip can feel dangerous. It can feel like inviting chaos, disappointment, or loss. You may not consciously believe that everything depends on you, but your body often behaves as if it does. God understands how this fear developed, how it learned to live inside you quietly, guiding your actions even when you are exhausted. You may notice that when you try to rest, your mind immediately fills with reminders of what still needs attention. Tasks, responsibilities, unresolved conversations, uncertain outcomes all rush forward as if demanding to be held again. This is not because you lack discipline or faith. It is because holding has become associated with safety. Letting go, even briefly, can trigger anxiety, as if something essential is being abandoned. God does not interpret this response as mistrust. Love recognizes it as protection. Your system learned over time that staying alert reduced risk. It learned that preparedness prevented harm. Stopping feels unsafe not because you are weak, but because you have been strong for a long time. The fear of what happens if you stop holding often includes images of collapse. You may imagine things falling apart, people being disappointed, opportunities being lost, or mistakes being made. These images can feel vivid and convincing, even when you intellectually know that resting for a moment is reasonable. God understands how fear works. It does not operate on logic alone. It is shaped by memory, by pattern, by what once happened when you relaxed your guard. Love does not argue with these images or dismiss them. Instead, God stays with you as you notice them, reminding you that images are not the same as reality. and that you are not required to act on every fear your mind produces. You may also fear what will surface inside you if you stop holding. Strength often keeps emotions contained. When holding loosens, feelings that were postponed may begin to rise. Sadness, anger, loneliness, or grief can feel overwhelming when they have been waiting for a long time. God understands this fear deeply. Love does not force emotional release. You are not being asked to open floodgates or confront everything at once. Resting from holding does not mean surrendering to chaos inside. It means allowing space where emotions can exist without being suppressed, at a pace that feels tolerable. God stays close, ensuring you are not alone with what emerges. Another layer of this fear is the worry that if you stop holding, you will lose your sense of purpose or identity. Strength may have become intertwined with how you see yourself. Being capable, dependable, and resilient may feel like the core of who you are. God sees how unsettling it can feel to imagine yourself without that constant role. Love does not ask you to abandon your strengths or erase your identity. It simply invites you to discover that you are more than what you carry. Rest does not make you disappear. It allows other parts of you to breathe. You may have learned that holding things together earned you safety, approval, or belonging. Perhaps people relied on you more when you were strong. Perhaps you received affirmation for enduring quietly. God understands how these dynamics reinforce the fear of stopping. Love does not shame you for wanting connection or validation. It recognizes how deeply human that desire is. Yet God gently reminds you that your worth is not dependent on constant contribution. You do not lose love by resting. You do not become invisible when you stop holding everything up. When you imagine stopping, you may also fear judgment, both from others and from yourself. You may worry about being seen as lazy, weak, or irresponsible. These judgments often echo voices from the past, moments when rest was criticized or vulnerability was misunderstood. God hears those voices too. Love does not agree with them. You are not irresponsible for needing rest. You are not failing because you cannot carry endlessly. God does not measure your value by endurance alone. Compassion sees limits as part of being alive, not as moral shortcomings. The fear of what happens if you stop holding can make rest feel like a risk rather than a relief. God does not demand that you suddenly overcome this fear. Love understands that fear loosens gradually, through experience, not force. Each time you pause and nothing catastrophic happens, your system learns a little more safety. Each moment you soften and remain supported adds new evidence that holding is not the only thing keeping you afloat. God remains patient as this learning unfolds, not pushing you faster than you can go. You may notice moments where you partially let go, only to quickly re-engage out of habit or anxiety. This is not failure. It is practice. Letting go does not have to be complete to be meaningful. Even brief releases matter. Even small moments where you allow yourself not to manage everything internally are steps toward freedom. God honors these moments. Love does not require perfection. It recognizes effort, even when that effort looks like trying and retreating. There is also a deeper fear that if you stop holding, you will have to confront how tired you truly are. Strength can mask exhaustion. Holding keeps you moving, sometimes beyond what is healthy. Stopping can reveal the depth of your weariness, and that realization can feel heavy. God does not rush you into this awareness. Love allows you to approach it gently. You do not need to fully feel your exhaustion tonight. You only need to acknowledge that it exists, and that you are allowed to respond to it with care rather than denial. God speaks to you here with reassurance rather than instruction. You are not being asked to drop everything at once. You are not being tested on how well you can let go. You are being invited to consider that stopping does not mean abandonment, collapse, or loss of control. It means shifting who is holding. God holds what you set down. You are not the only support beneath your life. You never were. You may still feel fear even as you hear this reassurance. That is okay. Fear does not disqualify you from rest. You do not need to eliminate fear to be held. God remains with you in the fear itself, steady and present, offering a different experience alongside it. You can rest with fear nearby. You can soften even if part of you stays alert. Love does not withdraw until fear is gone. It stays through the process. Tonight, you do not have to resolve this fear. You do not need to convince yourself that everything will be fine. You are allowed to simply notice the fear and remain where you are. Nothing bad will happen because you paused here. God watches over what you are not holding. You are safe to take this moment without vigilance. Strength can loosen without disappearing. You are supported even now. What you are afraid will collapse if you stop holding is not as fragile as it feels. God sees how real that fear is for you, how convincing it sounds inside your body, how it whispers that everything depends on your vigilance, your effort, your strength. But there is a deeper truth moving beneath that fear, one that does not shout or demand attention. What you are afraid will fall apart is already being held. Not by your constant effort, not by your exhaustion, but by a presence that does not grow tired, that does not falter when you pause. God has been holding far more than you realize, even during the moments when you believed it was all up to you. You may believe that your holding is what keeps things intact, that if you stop monitoring, reminding, anticipating, or managing, something essential will unravel. This belief often forms because you have seen what happens when things are neglected or abandoned. God does not deny that responsibility matters. But there is a difference between responsible care and carrying the weight of outcomes that were never meant to rest entirely on you. You have been holding not only what is yours to tend to, but also what belongs to time, to others, to circumstances beyond your control. God sees this clearly. Love knows how easy it is to confuse effort with control, to believe that constant holding equals safety. Yet safety does not come from your grip alone. There are many things in your life that have continued, grown, or survived even when you were tired, distracted, or uncertain. You may not have noticed them because your attention was focused on what could go wrong. God invites you to consider this gently, not as an argument but as an observation. There were moments when you loosened your grip, even briefly, and nothing collapsed. Things did not end. You did not disappear. These moments matter. They are evidence that support exists beyond your effort. God has been quietly sustaining what you feared would fail. You may fear that relationships will fall apart if you stop trying so hard, that people will drift, misunderstand, or leave if you are not constantly present or accommodating. God understands this fear. Connection is precious, and loss leaves deep marks. But love that depends entirely on your exhaustion is not the only love available to you. God holds the hearts of others too. You are not the sole support beneath every relationship. You can step back without causing everything to crumble. True connection has resilience that does not depend on constant self-sacrifice. You may fear that your life direction will collapse if you stop planning, worrying, or preparing. That without constant mental effort, you will miss something important or make a mistake you cannot undo. God sees how heavy that pressure is. Love does not ask you to stop caring about your future. It asks you to release the belief that you must carry it all internally at every moment. Direction does not vanish when you rest. Wisdom does not disappear when you sleep. God holds the unfolding of your life with a steadiness that does not require your constant supervision. There may be a part of you that insists, but if I stop, no one else will hold this. This belief often comes from real experiences of being alone in responsibility. God does not minimize that reality. But even when others were absent, even when support felt invisible, you were not as alone as you thought. God was holding you then too, even when you could not feel it, even when survival strength had to take the lead. What sustained you through those seasons was not only your effort. There was a deeper steadiness beneath it, one that did not require your awareness to function. What you are afraid will collapse is often not the thing itself, but the image of control you have built around it. Control can feel like safety, but it is fragile because it depends on constant energy. God offers something more durable. Trust that does not require constant tension. Trust does not mean pretending nothing can go wrong. It means knowing that even if things shift, you will not be abandoned. You are not held together by perfection. You are held by presence. You may notice resistance as you hear this. Part of you may say, if that were true, why did things hurt so much before? God does not dismiss that question. Pain does not mean you were not held. It means you lived in a world where loss, limitation, and suffering exist. Being held does not mean being spared from all pain. It means not being alone inside it. God was with you even in moments that broke something open inside you. Love did not leave because things were hard. It stayed even when you could not sense it. What you fear will collapse may also include parts of your identity. If you stop being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who always manages, who will you be? God sees how disorienting this question can feel. But identity does not collapse when roles shift. It expands. You are more than what you carry. You are more than what you manage. You are allowed to exist without proving your usefulness through exhaustion. God holds who you are beneath the roles you learn to survive. You may find it difficult to trust this holding because it feels invisible. You cannot measure it or control it. God understands how unsettling that can be, especially if you learn to rely on what you could manage. Trusting invisible support is not something you accomplish overnight. It grows through small experiences. Each time you rest and are still okay. Each time you stop holding and nothing essential is lost. Each time you soften and discover that you are not alone. God remains patient as this trust grows, not offended by your hesitation. What you are afraid will collapse is often already being sustained by systems, relationships, and timing that exist beyond your awareness. God works quietly, often invisibly, not because you are excluded, but because not everything requires your involvement. You are not meant to be the sole force holding your world together. That is too much for any one person. Love does not assign you that burden. Tonight, you are invited to experiment gently with this truth. Not by dropping everything, not by forcing yourself to trust, but by noticing that even as you rest here, things continue. Your breath continues. Your heart continues. The world does not end because you paused. God is holding what you are not. You are safe to rest inside that reality. You do not need to convince yourself fully. Doubt can remain. Fear can remain. You can still be held. What you are afraid will collapse is not balanced on the edge of your effort. It is already supported by something steadier than your strength. God holds it. God holds you, and you are allowed to let that be enough for this moment. There is a subtle shift that happens when you begin to consider the possibility that support does not have to be supplemented by your constant effort. Learning to let support be enough is not a dramatic decision or a sudden release. It is a gradual softening, a quiet permission that unfolds slowly inside you. God understands how unfamiliar this feels. When you have been the one who carried, who compensated, who filled in the gaps, support may feel incomplete unless you reinforce it. You may accept help outwardly while still holding everything internally, just in case. God sees this pattern clearly, and love meets it with patience rather than correction. You are not wrong for hesitating to trust support fully. You are learning something new. Support may have arrived inconsistently in your past. Sometimes it was promised and not delivered. Sometimes it came with conditions or expectations. Sometimes it was absent altogether when you needed it most. God does not ignore these experiences. Love understands why you learn to rely primarily on yourself, why you developed the habit of adding your own effort on top of any help offered. Letting support be enough can feel risky when support once failed you. God does not rush you into blind trust. Instead, love invites you to notice when support does show up and to experiment gently with not immediately compensating for it. You may find yourself scanning for weaknesses in support, anticipating where it might fall short. This vigilance once protected you from disappointment. God does not ask you to abandon that wisdom overnight, but love offers a different experience alongside it. When support is present, you are allowed to lean into it without preparing for its collapse. You do not need to test it constantly. You do not need to brace yourself for failure. You can let it hold you for as long as it holds, trusting that if it shifts, you will not be abandoned. God remains beneath both the support you receive and the uncertainty you fear. Learning to let support be enough often reveals how deeply you associate worth with self-sufficiency. You may feel uncomfortable accepting care without contributing equally or more. You may worry about being a burden, about taking too much, about needing more than feels acceptable. God sees this fear and speaks to it gently. You are not a burden because you are human. Needing support is not a moral failing. Love was never meant to be transactional. You do not have to earn rest by suffering first. God's care is not depleted by your need. There may be moments when support feels insufficient simply because it cannot solve everything at once. God does not promise that support will remove all difficulty. Letting support be enough does not mean pretending your life is easy. It means allowing what is available to be what it is, without demanding that it fix everything. You can receive partial support without rejecting it because it is not complete. God holds what remains unresolved. You do not need to turn incomplete support into total responsibility. You may notice resistance inside you when you try to lean into support. A voice may say, "This won't last," or "You should still be prepared." God does not silence this voice. Love listens to it with compassion. That voice is trying to keep you safe. You do not need to argue with it. You can let it speak while still allowing yourself to rest a little more than usual. Support does not have to feel perfectly safe to be useful. It only needs to be allowed. Learning to let support be enough also means releasing the idea that you must understand how support works to trust it. You may want to know the limits, the conditions, the duration. God understands this desire for clarity. But some forms of support cannot be mapped or controlled. God's presence, especially, does not operate on predictable schedules or visible mechanics. You may not know how you are being held, only that you are. This kind of support asks for receptivity rather than analysis. You are not required to figure it out. You are allowed to rest inside it. You may feel a sense of grief as you realize how rarely you allowed support to be enough in the past. How often you kept carrying even when help was available. This grief is not an accusation. It is an acknowledgement of how alone you felt, how little room there was for rest. God welcomes this grief. Love does not ask you to be grateful for scarcity. You are allowed to mourn what you did not receive while also accepting what is available now. As you practice letting support be enough, you may notice subtle changes. Your body may relax a little faster. Your thoughts may slow slightly. You may feel less pressure to anticipate every outcome. These shifts are not signs of complacency. They are signs of trust beginning to take root. God honors these small changes. Love does not require dramatic transformation. It values quiet progress. You may still step back into holding sometimes. Old habits do not disappear immediately. This does not mean you have failed. It means you are human. Learning to let support be enough is not about never caring again. It is about recognizing when you no longer have to. God remains patient through the back and forth, steady and present regardless of how often you lean or retreat. There may be moments when you realize that support has been present in ways you did not recognize before. In timing that worked out despite your worry. In resilience that appeared when you felt empty. In connections that endured even when you stopped trying so hard. God invites you to notice these moments without turning them into proof you must trust perfectly. They are simply reminders that you are not alone beneath your life. Letting support be enough does not mean you stop showing up for yourself. It means you stop carrying everything by yourself. You are still engaged, still caring, still living. The difference is that you are no longer doing it alone internally. God carries what you cannot. You are not required to manage every outcome, predict every challenge, or secure every future moment. Tonight, letting support be enough may look very small. It may look like not revisiting a worry one more time. It may look like allowing yourself to rest without justification. It may look like accepting these words without immediately questioning them. That is enough. God is not asking for total surrender. Love is offering companionship. You are allowed to lean. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to stop reinforcing support with exhaustion. What is holding you does not need your constant supervision. God remains steady whether you are alert or resting, strong or tired, certain or unsure. Support does not collapse when you trust it. It becomes more visible. Learning to let support be enough is not about giving something up. It is about receiving what has always been there, waiting for you to notice. And you do not have to master this tonight. You only have to let yourself rest inside the possibility that you are already held, already supported, already enough without trying so hard. There is a belief that has quietly guided you for a long time, a belief that rest must wait until everything is settled, until questions have answers, until situations are resolved, until loose ends are tied. God sees how deeply this belief has shaped the way you live. It has kept you moving, thinking, planning, and worrying long after your body and heart needed pause. You may feel that resting before resolution is irresponsible, unsafe, or undeserved. Yet God speaks gently into this space and says, "You can rest without everything being resolved." Rest is not a reward for completion. It is a necessity for being human. You may notice how difficult it is to imagine resting while things remain unfinished. Your mind may resist immediately, presenting lists of what still needs attention, what is unclear, what might go wrong if you stop engaging. God does not dismiss this resistance. Love understands that unresolved things can feel heavy. like open loops demanding constant energy. But carrying unresolved matters internally does not resolve them faster. It only exhausts you. God invites you to consider that rest and resolution are not opposites. You do not have to choose one over the other. You can pause even while things remain open. You may fear that if you rest before resolution, you will lose momentum, clarity, or control. That problems will grow, opportunities will pass, or mistakes will happen. God sees how convincing these fears can feel, especially if you have lived through moments when delay led to consequences. Love does not promise that everything will stay exactly the same when you rest. Life continues, but God does promise that resting does not mean abandonment. You are not leaving your responsibilities behind forever. You are simply stepping out of constant engagement for a moment. What matters will still be there when you return. There may be unresolved emotional matters inside you as well. Feelings you do not understand yet. Experiences you have not fully processed. Questions about yourself, your relationships, or your future that feel heavy and complex. God does not require you to sort these things out before you rest. Emotional resolution often comes through gentleness, not force. Pushing yourself to understand everything can create more tension rather than clarity. You are allowed to rest even when your inner world feels unfinished. God holds what you cannot yet make sense of. You may have learned to equate rest with avoidance, as if resting means refusing to face reality. God gently reframes this belief. Rest is not avoidance when it is chosen intentionally. It is not denial when it acknowledges that you have limits. Facing reality does not require constant strain. Sometimes the most honest response to reality is to admit you are tired. God honors that honesty. You are not betraying truth by resting. You are responding to it. Unresolved situations often create a sense of urgency, a feeling that you must stay alert or something will be missed. God understands how urgency can keep you from slowing down. Love does not scold you for this. Instead, God offers reassurance. Urgency does not define importance. Some things matter deeply and still do not require constant attention. You can trust that clarity will come when it needs to, not because you forced it, but because time and presence have a way of revealing what is next. God works within time, not against it. It is not denial when it acknowledges that you have limits. Facing reality does not require constant strain. Sometimes the most honest response to reality is to admit you are tired. God honors that honesty. You are not betraying truth by resting. You are responding to it. Unresolved situations often create a sense of urgency, a feeling that you must stay alert or something will be missed. God understands how urgency can keep you from slowing down. Love does not scold you for this. Instead, God offers reassurance. Urgency does not define importance. Some things matter deeply and still do not require constant attention. You can trust that clarity will come when it needs to, not because you forced it, but because time and presence have a way of revealing what is next. God works within time, not against it. You may notice guilt arising when you consider resting without resolution. Guilt that tells you should be doing more, thinking more, trying harder. God sees this guilt and meets it with compassion. Guilt often forms when you have been taught that your value is tied to productivity or problem solving. Love does not agree with this message. You are valuable even when you are resting. You do not owe exhaustion to anyone. God does not measure your worth by how much you carry unresolved inside you. Resting without resolution can feel like stepping into uncertainty. You may not know what will happen next or how things will unfold. God understands how uncomfortable uncertainty can be, especially if you crave clarity. But certainty is not required for safety. You can be safe even when answers are missing. God remains with you in uncertainty, holding what you cannot yet see. You are not required to light the entire path tonight. You only need enough light to rest where you are. There is also a fear that if you rest now, you will lose the emotional intensity that keeps you connected to what matters. You may worry that caring less intensely means caring less deeply. God gently corrects this. Intensity is not the same as depth. You can care deeply without constantly engaging your nervous system. Rest does not dilute love or commitment. It allows them to become more sustainable. God invites you to care in a way that does not consume you. You may have experienced moments where clarity came only after you stopped trying so hard, where insight arrived when you rested, not when you pushed. God reminds you of this quietly. Resolution does not always come through effort. Sometimes it comes through space. Rest creates that space. You do not have to force understanding. You can allow it to emerge naturally in its own time. As you practice resting without everything being resolved, you may feel moments of discomfort, as if something is unfinished or wrong. God does not rush to eliminate this feeling. Love stays with you in it. Discomfort does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means you are stepping outside an old pattern. Over time, your system will learn that unresolved does not mean unsafe. God remains patient during this learning process. You are not being asked to give up on resolution. You are being invited to stop carrying it all the time. You can place unresolved matters into God's care for now, trusting that you will return to them when you are rested enough to engage wisely. You are not abandoning them. You are resting from holding them internally. God holds what you release even temporarily. Tonight, you can rest without understanding everything. You can rest without fixing everything. You can rest without deciding everything. Nothing essential will be lost because you paused. You are not falling behind. You are responding to your need for rest. God honors this response. As you settle into this permission, you may notice your breath deepen, your body soften, your thoughts slow. These are signs that your system is recognizing safety. You do not need to make them happen. You can simply allow them. God is with you here, not asking you to be ready for what comes next, only inviting you to be present now. You are allowed to sleep with questions unanswered. You are allowed to pause with situations unresolved. You are allowed to rest in the middle of uncertainty. God watches over what you are not holding. You do not have to stay awake to protect your life. You can trust that while you rest, you are still held. There is a place you are being invited into now, a place where weakness is not something to hide, correct, or overcome. Here, you are allowed to be weak. Not the kind of weakness that comes with shame or failure, but the honest kind that appears when you stop holding yourself together and let your true state be known. God meets you in this space without surprise. Love is not unsettled by your weakness. It does not step back or grow distant when your strength runs out. In fact, this is a place where God draws closer, because weakness is not something to be fixed here. It is something to be received with care. You may have learned, consciously or not, that weakness is dangerous, that showing it leads to disappointment, misunderstanding, or abandonment. Perhaps there were times when you revealed your vulnerability and felt dismissed, rushed, or told to be stronger. God understands how those moments shaped you. Love does not ask why you learned to hide weakness. It knows exactly why. Weakness often emerged when you were already overwhelmed, when you needed support the most. And when that support was not there, your system adapted. It learned to conceal, to minimize, to endure quietly. God does not blame you for this adaptation. Survival taught you what it had to. Because of this, being weak may now feel unfamiliar or unsafe. You may associate weakness with losing control, with becoming too much, with opening doors you cannot close again. God speaks gently into this fear and says, "You are allowed to be weak here. Not everywhere, not with everyone. But here, in this presence, weakness does not carry consequences. You will not be punished for it. You will not be misunderstood. You will not be left. Weakness does not repel love. It invites it. You may not even know how to define your weakness. It might show up as tiredness you cannot explain, emotions that feel close to the surface, a sense of fragility, or a lack of clarity about what you need. You do not have to label it correctly. God does not require precision. Love understands what you cannot yet articulate. You are not expected to present your weakness neatly or logically. You can simply let it exist. There may be a part of you that feels uncomfortable allowing weakness because strength has protected you for so long. Strength may feel like the only way you know how to be safe. God does not ask you to reject that strength or pretend it was unnecessary. Love honors what strength did for you, but strength does not have to be present at all times to remain available. You are allowed to set it aside here, trusting that it will not disappear. Weakness does not erase strength. It rests alongside it. You may worry that if you allow yourself to be weak, you will fall apart completely, that emotions will overwhelm you, that you will not be able to contain what comes up. God understands this fear. Love does not throw you into the deep end of vulnerability. Being weak here does not mean losing all boundaries. It means allowing yourself to stop pretending you are okay when you are not. It means letting your inner world breathe without forcing it to be managed. God remains present and steady, not letting things spiral beyond what you can hold. Weakness can feel like exposure, like being seen without armor. God meets you in that exposure with gentleness. You are not being observed critically. You are being witnessed compassionately. There is no expectation placed on your weakness. You do not need to turn it into insight, growth, or testimony. You do not need to learn something from it right now. You are allowed to simply be weak without making meaning out of it. You may notice feelings of shame rising as you allow weakness to surface. Shame often appears when vulnerability feels risky. God does not shame you for feeling shame. Love recognizes it as another protective response. You do not need to push shame away aggressively. You can notice it and still remain here. Weakness and shame can exist without defining you. God does not see you through the lens of your shame. Love sees you beneath it. There is a tenderness in weakness that you may not have allowed yourself to feel before. Tenderness can feel raw, open, and unguarded. God treats this tenderness with great care. Love does not demand more from it. It does not rush it. It does not exploit it. You are safe to be tender here. Nothing will be taken from you because you softened. You may also discover that weakness brings a sense of relief alongside discomfort. Relief that you no longer have to hold yourself rigidly. Relief that you can admit you are tired. Relief that you do not have to be impressive, capable, or resilient right now. God welcomes this relief. Love does not see it as laziness or surrender. It sees it as honesty. And honesty is always a place of connection. Being weak here does not mean you are weak everywhere. It does not redefine your entire life. It is a moment of truth, a pause where you let yourself be as you are without editing. God does not record this moment as evidence against you. Love does not keep score. You are not losing ground by resting in weakness. You are finding it. You may notice that when you allow weakness, your body responds. Muscles may release tension. Breath may deepen. Tears may come or may not. There is no required response. Your body knows what it needs. God trusts that wisdom. You do not need to guide the process. You can let it unfold naturally. You are allowed to be weak here because weakness is not the opposite of faith. It is often the doorway to it. Faith does not require you to be strong at all times. It does not require you to hide your limits. Faith is not measured by how well you endure silently. It is often found in the quiet willingness to be held when you cannot hold yourself. God does not withdraw when you reach that point. Love becomes more evident. Tonight, weakness does not disqualify you from rest. It does not make you unsafe. It does not make you less worthy of care. You do not need to fix your weakness before you are allowed to sleep, to pause, or to stop trying. God is not waiting for you to regain strength before staying close. Love is already here. You may still feel uncertainty about how to live with weakness beyond this moment. God does not ask you to figure that out now. Tonight is not about the future. It is about allowing yourself to be where you are without resistance. You can trust that strength will return when it is needed. For now, weakness is allowed. You are not alone in this softness. You are not unsupported in this pause. You are not failing because you feel fragile. God holds you here, gently and without urgency, reminding you that you do not have to be strong tonight. You can rest in weakness, knowing that nothing essential depends on your effort right now. You are safe to let yourself be held exactly as you are. There is a quiet accusation that sometimes appears when you finally allow yourself to stop, a whisper that says you are falling behind, that needing rest means you are not keeping up, that if you were stronger or better, you would not be here needing this pause. God hears that accusation clearly, and God speaks back with gentleness and truth. You are not failing because you need this rest. Needing rest is not evidence of weakness, regression, or lack of faith. It is evidence that you are human, that you have been giving, enduring, adapting, and showing up for longer than you realized. Rest is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something has been heavy for a long time. You may feel guilt simply for stopping. Guilt that arises even when nothing is immediately demanding your attention. This guilt did not come from nowhere. It was learned in environments where rest was associated with laziness, where productivity was tied to worth, where slowing down felt like risk. God understands how deeply these messages can settle into your body. Love does not scold you for feeling guilty. Love understands why guilt shows up and stays with you until it loosens on its own. You do not need to force it away. You can rest even while guilt is present. Rest does not require perfect peace. You may worry that resting now means you will never catch up, that you are wasting time you cannot afford to lose. God sees how time can feel like pressure, like a force constantly moving forward without regard for your limits. But rest does not steal time from your life. It gives time back to you by allowing you to meet it with more clarity and less exhaustion. God is not counting the minutes you rest against you. Love is not impatient with your need to pause. You are not behind because you stopped. You are responding wisely to what you need. There may be a voice inside you that says others are managing without rest, that you should be able to do the same. God knows how comparison distorts compassion. You do not see what others carry, what they suppress, or what it costs them to keep going. Your body, your history, your circumstances are your own. God does not measure you against anyone else. Love meets you exactly where you are, not where you think you should be. Needing rest does not mean you are less capable. It means you are honest. You may feel that rest is indulgent when there is still suffering in the world, still needs unmet, still responsibilities unresolved. God understands this tension deeply. Love does not ask you to ignore the pain around you, but you are not required to exhaust yourself to honor it. You cannot carry the weight of the world alone. God does not ask you to. Rest is not turning away from suffering. It is ensuring that you remain alive, present, and able to care in sustainable ways. You are not betraying compassion by resting. You may fear that rest will make you soft, less driven, less sharp. God sees this fear and gently reassures you. Rest does not take away what matters. It restores what has been depleted. Clarity, creativity, discernment, and resilience do not come from constant strain. They come from rhythms that include rest. God designed you with limits not as flaws, but as guidance. Honoring those limits is not failure. It is wisdom. There may be a sense of grief as you rest, grief for how long you pushed yourself, how often you ignored your need to pause, how much you believed you had to earn rest. God welcomes this grief. Love does not rush you past it or reframe it into positivity. You are allowed to feel sad for yourself, for the parts of you that carried too much for too long. This grief is not self-pity. It is recognition, and recognition is often the beginning of healing. You may notice that when you stop pushing, your body reveals how tired it truly is. Fatigue may feel deeper than expected. God is not alarmed by this. Love does not see it as a problem to solve immediately. Your body is telling the truth. You do not need to argue with it or override it. You can listen without panic. Resting does not mean you will never move again. It means you are allowing recovery to begin. There may be moments when you feel unproductive, empty, or unsure of your purpose as you rest. God understands how uncomfortable this can be, especially if purpose has been tied to doing. But your worth does not disappear when activity slows. You are not defined by output alone. You are allowed to exist without constantly producing. God values your being, not just your doing. You are not wasting your life by resting. You are honoring it. You may still feel tempted to justify your rest, to explain it, to promise you will make up for it later. God gently releases you from this need. You do not owe an explanation for listening to your limits. You do not need permission slips for rest. Love has already granted it. You can rest without bargaining. You can rest without conditions. There may be a fear that if you allow rest now, you will never want to return to effort. God understands this fear but does not share it. Rest does not erase your desire to engage with life. It renews it. When rest is allowed rather than stolen, it becomes nourishing instead of numbing. You will move again when it is time, not because you forced yourself, but because energy returned naturally. God trusts this rhythm. You may also notice moments of calm that feel unfamiliar or undeserved. God invites you to let them exist without suspicion. You do not need to earn calm through suffering. You are allowed to experience peace even if nothing dramatic has changed. Calm does not mean you are ignoring reality. It means your nervous system is receiving a break. God does not withdraw calm because you did not work hard enough for it. You are not failing because you need this rest. You are responding to the truth of your condition. You are honoring your humanity. You are listening to signals that have been trying to reach you for a long time. God does not see this as weakness. Love sees it as alignment. alignment with your limits, alignment with your needs, alignment with a life that is meant to be lived, not endured endlessly. Tonight, you are allowed to rest without self-judgment. You are allowed to pause without measuring the cost. You are allowed to stop without fearing the consequences. Nothing essential is being lost. You are not falling apart. You are settling into care. God remains with you here, not waiting for you to prove you are ready to continue, not keeping track of how long you rest. Love stays because love does not depend on your performance. You are enough even now, even here, even resting. And as this rest continues, gently and quietly, you may begin to feel something shift. Not urgency, not pressure, but reassurance. A sense that you are not alone in this pause, that you are not irresponsible for stopping, that you are allowed to be exactly where you are. Tonight, there is a deep and quiet truth you are being invited to rest inside. A truth that may feel unfamiliar if your life has been shaped by effort, endurance, and the constant sense that you must justify your place in the world. Nothing needs to be proved tonight. You do not need to demonstrate strength, faith, resilience, productivity, gratitude, or understanding. You do not need to show progress. You do not need to explain your exhaustion or validate your rest. God speaks softly here, not with instruction but with release. You are already enough without proving anything. You may notice how instinctively your mind looks for standards, for measures, for evidence that you are doing life correctly. This habit did not form by accident. It grew in environments where approval was conditional, where love felt tied to performance, where being seen depended on being useful or impressive. God understands how deeply this pattern runs. Love does not criticize you for it. Love knows that proving became a way to stay safe, a way to belong, a way to avoid rejection. But tonight, that strategy is not required. You are not being evaluated. You are not being observed for improvement. You are simply being held. There may be a subtle pressure inside you to use this moment well, to rest correctly, to absorb the message properly, to come out of this pause changed or renewed. God gently removes even that pressure. You do not need to prove that rest is working. You do not need to feel better in order for this moment to be valid. Rest does not have to produce results to be meaningful. You are allowed to rest poorly, imperfectly, without transformation. Nothing is being asked of you in return. You may feel a reflex to justify your rest, to mentally list reasons why you deserve this pause. God sees that reflex and understands it, but you do not need a reason that would satisfy anyone else. You do not need to convince yourself or anyone that you have earned rest. Worthiness is not the entry fee here. Rest is not a transaction. God does not offer care conditionally. You are not resting because you earned it. You are resting because you are human. You may have spent much of your life trying to prove that you are good enough, strong enough, faithful enough, capable enough. Even in spiritual spaces, proving can quietly linger, showing up as pressure to believe correctly, to trust fully, to remain hopeful even when you are tired. God gently releases you from this burden tonight. Faith is not something you have to perform. You do not need to demonstrate certainty. You do not need to hold onto the right thoughts. You can rest even with doubt present. Nothing needs to be proved to God. There may be a voice inside you that says if you stop proving, you will become invisible or irrelevant. God understands this fear deeply. Proving often feels like the bridge between you and being seen. But you are not held in God's presence because you perform. You are seen because you exist. Your value is not maintained by effort. It does not diminish when you stop striving. Love does not lose interest when you are quiet. You may notice that when proving stops, a sense of emptiness appears. Without goals to meet or standards to measure yourself against, you may feel unsure of who you are in this moment. God meets you in that emptiness without urgency. You do not need to fill it. You do not need to define yourself right now. You are allowed to exist without an identity anchored in achievement or endurance. This space is not a void. It is rest. Nothing needs to be proved tonight includes your pain. You do not need to justify why you are tired, why something hurts, why you are struggling. You do not need to explain it in a way that makes sense. God does not require your pain to be logical or valid by external standards. Pain does not need permission to exist. You are allowed to rest with pain present, without defending it or minimizing it. You may also feel relief when you hear that nothing needs to be proved, followed by discomfort. Discomfort because striving has given structure to your inner world. God does not rush you through this discomfort. Love stays with you as you adjust to a moment without demands. You are not failing because you do not know how to rest without proving. You are learning something new. You may have internalized the idea that rest must lead to improvement, that if you pause, you should at least come back stronger, clearer, or more motivated. God gently removes that expectation. Rest does not exist to make you more efficient. It exists to care for you. You are not a machine being recalibrated. You are a person being supported. Nothing about this moment needs to be optimized. There may be parts of you that still try to prove worth through comparison, through replaying past successes or failures. God invites you to let those comparisons fade for now. You are not behind. You are not ahead. You are not being ranked. You are here. That is enough. You may feel the urge to promise that you will do better tomorrow, that you will try harder, that this rest will not go to waste. God releases you from making those promises. You do not need to bargain with rest. You do not need to reassure the future. Tomorrow can take care of itself. Tonight is not a rehearsal. It is a pause. Nothing needs to be proved also means you do not need to prove trust. You may not feel trust right now. You may still feel guarded, uncertain, or wary. That does not disqualify you from rest. God does not wait for perfect trust before offering care. You are not required to believe more deeply to be held. You are held even while questioning. You may notice that when proving stops, your body begins to respond. Shoulders may lower, breath may slow, or nothing may happen at all. Both are acceptable. There is no correct response. You are not doing this wrong. God is not waiting for signs that you are receiving properly. Love is simply present. Tonight, you are allowed to let go of self-measurement. You are allowed to stop tracking progress. You are allowed to stop performing resilience. You are allowed to be unremarkable, unproductive, and proven. Nothing bad happens when you stop proving. You do not disappear. You are not abandoned. You remain held. You do not need to prove your worth to God. You do not need to prove your need. You do not need to prove your faith, your pain, your effort, or your rest. All of it is already seen. All of it is already known. All of it is already held. As this truth settles gently and without pressure, you may feel a sense of relief that does not demand explanation. You do not need to analyze it. You do not need to hold on to it tightly. You can let it wash over you and pass through you naturally. Nothing needs to be captured or remembered. God remains with you in this quiet place where striving ends. Not as a judge, not as an evaluator, but as a presence that does not require proof. You are allowed to be here without effort, without demonstration, without defense. Tonight, nothing needs to be proved. You can rest inside that truth. You can let yourself be held without earning it. You can stop trying just for now and know that you are still enough. Now there is nothing more you need to do. No more holding, no more listening for instructions, no more effort required. This is a place where words can slowly fade into the background and presence can take over. God speaks softly to you here, not to guide you forward, but to let you settle. You can let yourself sleep now. Not because everything is finished, not because all is resolved, but because you are allowed to rest even when life is unfinished. Sleep is not something you earn by doing enough. It is something you are given because you are alive. You may still feel thoughts moving through your mind as you lie here. Memories, worries, fragments of the day, or concerns about tomorrow may drift in and out. God does not ask you to stop them. You do not need to control your thoughts in order to rest. Thoughts can come and go without pulling you back into effort. You are not required to engage with them. You can let them pass like clouds, knowing that nothing they carry needs your attention right now. God is watching over what you are not. Your body may still hold tension in places you are used to holding it. Shoulders, jaw, chest, stomach. You do not need to force relaxation. Forcing is another form of effort. You can simply allow gravity to do its work. Let the surface beneath you support your weight. Let your breath find its own rhythm. Even shallow breaths are enough. Even restless movements are okay. Sleep does not require perfection. God is patient with the way rest unfolds for you. You may feel a quiet sense of relief mixed with vulnerability as you approach sleep. Relief that you no longer have to be alert. Vulnerability because letting go feels unfamiliar. God meets both without judgment. Love does not rush you into unconsciousness. You can drift slowly. You can remain aware for a while. There is no schedule to follow. Nothing is being timed. You are not behind. Tonight, you do not have to replay conversations. You do not have to plan what you will say or do next. You do not have to solve what is unresolved. Tomorrow will arrive on its own. You are not required to prepare for it now. God holds the hours ahead of you. You are allowed to release them from your mind and let them wait. You may notice your breathing begin to slow as your body recognizes safety, or it may not. Either way is fine. Your body knows how to rest even when your mind is unsure. You do not need to supervise the process. Sleep is not fragile. It will come when it comes. God is not disappointed if you remain awake longer than you expected. Rest is still happening, even in stillness. There is nothing you need to remember from these words. You do not need to hold on to any message or insight. You do not need to wake up changed. You do not need to carry reassurance with you consciously. What matters will remain even if you forget everything you heard. God's presence does not depend on your memory. You are held even when awareness fades. You may feel the urge to check yourself one last time, to see if you are resting enough, calm enough, or letting go enough. You can release that urge too. There is no standard to meet here. You are not being observed. You are not being assessed. You are simply being accompanied. God does not watch over you with expectation, but with care. As sleep approaches, you can imagine gently placing the weight of the day aside. Not pushing it away, not resolving it, just setting it down. You do not need to know where it goes. You do not need to track it. God receives what you release without asking questions. You can trust that nothing essential will be lost because you rested. You are not responsible for holding yourself together through the night. Your heart will keep beating. Your breath will continue. Your body knows what to do. You do not need to stay alert to protect yourself. God remains awake even when you sleep. You are safe to let your awareness soften. If emotions surface as you drift, you do not need to analyze them. If tears come, they do not need explanation. If numbness appears, it does not mean something is wrong. Every response is welcome here. Nothing needs to be corrected. God stays with you through all of it, quietly and without demand. You may feel a sense of surrender or you may not. You may feel peace or you may simply feel tired. All of it is acceptable. Sleep does not require a particular feeling. You do not have to reach a certain emotional state before resting. You can sleep as you are. There is a gentleness available to you now that does not ask for effort. A gentleness that does not rush, does not fix, does not push. God offers this gentleness freely. You can receive it without doing anything in return. You do not need to thank it. You do not need to respond. You can simply let it hold you as you drift. You are not alone in the quiet of the night. Even when sounds fade and thoughts slow, presence remains. God does not step away when you fall asleep. Love does not pause while you rest. You are watched over without being monitored, held without being constrained, safe without being controlled. If you wake during the night, you are not doing rest wrong. You do not need to be frustrated with yourself. You can return to this same place of permission. God's care does not reset or expire. It remains steady through waking and sleeping alike. Now you can let your attention soften. You can allow the edges of awareness to blur. You do not need to stay with these words. They can fade. Silence can take over. Silence is not empty. It is full of rest. You have done enough for today. More than enough. You do not need to carry yourself through this night. God remains with you as you sleep. Nothing needs to be guarded. Nothing needs to be proven. Nothing needs to be fixed. You are safe to rest deeply, gently, fully. You can let yourself sleep now.